Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. I'm Mari of So Disorganised and I'm coming today to give you a little sewing room tour. So I've spent the last couple days organising and tidying my sewing room. It doesn't usually look like this, it's a lot messier usually, and I'm sure very soon, this won't last long, it'll be messy again. So I just thought I would take full advantage of this, of it being tidy, and just give you a little tour around, a little whiz around my room, show you where I work, where I come to sew, and how I organise and store all my sewing things. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so first let's come to my PDF, my pattern storage, sorry. So I have this, it's just a trolley, it's from Hobbycraft I believe, and it's just one of those wheel around trolleys, but it's really, really good for pattern storage, although I could maybe do it being a bit bigger because my PDF patterns are getting a bit out of control. So at the top, this is where I store some pattern magazines, yeah, my fibre mood, at the top here. In this, I think it's a desk organiser. I'm not really sure what it's called. Like paper organiser, magazine holder. I just keep some of my patterns that are just a bit too big. They don't fit on the lower shelves, or they're just a bit too bulky. So yeah, I just keep them in there. It's quite handy. I can just pull that out and have a sift through, and I'm not having to cram them in. Moving down to the next shelf. This is where I keep my indie paper patterns. So I haven't actually got that many, but I just keep them in this little tray so that I can just pull this tray out, have a sift through. Yeah, I don't have to pull out loads of patterns, I can just keep them organised and then put this back in when I'm done. On my lower shelf, this is where I keep my big 4 patterns, and I do try and keep them together, so like all the simplicity patterns are together, like the new look patterns are together, my bird and my McCalls, just so that I'm not having to pull out every pattern. I can just kind of pull out a wodge of say the designer and have a look through and then just put them back as and how I need. And then on these 2 shelves, this is where I keep my PDF printable patterns, the ones that I've taped together. So I use these C5 size envelopes, and what I do is I change my printer setting to C5 and then I print directly onto the actual envelope, and on the back I just print off all the information, so the sizes, the fabric yardage, and like on some of them, like this one here, yeah, I'll have the line drawing too, and just basically as much information as the pattern company provides that I can get on there, just so that I can just look at the envelope when I need it, and yeah, I don't have to look online for this information. And the pattern pieces, what I do with them is I fold them up and then I iron them, and I make sure that all the information for the pattern is like out here on display, so that if I just need one particular pattern piece, I don't have to pull them all out and fold them. I can just see, I just need the front leg, I can just see, okay, this is it, and keep the others in the packet. And what I've also recently started doing, and this isn't for all my sewing patterns because I only started it quite recently, is I got this print off from This Is For Makers, and I believe this is in their make in their make PDF file, not 100%, but I've started, so I add a little swatch and all the details from what I've made, and basically then if I want to remake the pattern, I can just pull this out, see what went wrong, if I need to make any adjustments, and it's just a really nice thing, because I print it out in A5 and then it just fits really, really nicely in the pattern. I don't have to fold it or anything. And yeah, and it's just a really nice way to have all your information in one place. Like I said, so if I do remake the pattern, I'll just look to that and it will have everything I need. Okay, so, and I also have this basket, and what's in here is, so I got these envelopes from Pattern Trace, so I've got a few in there. I've got my copy shop A0 size patterns in there. I've also got these binders, and these used to be how I organised my patterns. So I had one for tops, trousers, etc. But they're the ones that I kind of haven't got around to organising, or PDF patterns that I printed but haven't got around to cutting out yet, for one reason or another. So that is just kind of in there till I can get around to sorting and organising it properly. And then just under there is my overflow of PDFs because they do take up room, so I don't know what I'm going to do when I fill that up. I'll have to find an alternative storage use or place for them. And I've got this, this cupboard came from Littlewoods, and I'm pretty sure I did a terrible job of putting it together. So I hope it lasts, but we'll see. But this is where I store my Cricut and my heat press there. In this drawer there is all my vinyl, but that's a bit of a mess. I haven't actually organised that yet, so I won't open it because the vinyl will probably fall everywhere. In here is where I keep all my elastic. So a little while back, I asked Minerva if they had just any of these empty elastic casings that they didn't containers that they didn't want anymore, and they sent me a big box load. So I use it, they come in different widths, so I use it to store just all my different lengths, widths of elastic, and it's just a really nice way to do it because then I'm not having to just sift through a load of different styles. And I did actually used to write the size on them, but I haven't for the last couple, so I need to get on and do that. And it's just really handy to be able to just pull that out, look at what size it is, what size I need, and then just put it back, and I'm not having to look for a mess of elastic. It's just a really nice way to organise it. In this little cubby hole is where I keep my projects, my to-do projects. So I want to get started on the Gilbert top soon, but I think before that I'm probably going to do my Frugal Frocks project. So in here, sorry, it keeps blowing, it doesn't seem to want to zoom, focus even. So I've got this to fill in when I finish the pattern, my pattern envelope, so I can put all my my PDF pattern pieces in there when I'm done. All my pattern pieces cut out, the thread colour I want to use. The only thing that's not in there is buttons, and that's because I haven't actually chosen the buttons I want to use yet. But like, so if I have any elastic, or say I'm making a coat and there's a lot of notions, it's nice to just have it all in there, so then I can put it in there. If I start it and then I have to go away for a bit, I can put it back in there and just keep everything together, so I'm not hunting for things when, you know, in between projects. And down here is just kind of a odds and ends. So I've got some Fimo clay in there. This is, I think that's just like slipper grip fitting, some vinyl, and just random bits and bobs that don't really have a place, so they just end up in that drawer there. I've got, this is my scrap storage, so I have that's kind of my unfinished projects, my things I want to adjust. I've also got that one under there, which is slightly larger scraps. And in the corner there, we'll just ignore that because I think that's just a kind of mess pile. Okay, so this is my table. This is where I kind of keep all my pressing items, so my iron, my clapper. I have my little wool pressing mat here, which is great because I have a swivel rolly chair. So when I'm sewing, I can literally just swivel around, press on here, and then swivel back to my machine. And it's really good because where it's flat, it's really handy for pressing neckbands and that. And it's nice and small, so it's easy to tidy away. It doesn't actually take up like hardly any room. I've got my pattern weight type thing, so I use this Victorian iron, like old Victorian iron. This used to be my nan's because she used to be quite into crafting. And it's just like bear noses and doll's eyes and stuff that I don't really use, but it adds a really nice weight to it. and I've actually got 2 of them, but one's downstairs, so I use that, and then just an old floor tile. And basically anything I can grab. I don't really have specific pattern weights. I would like to make some at some point, but for now it is just, you know, if I'm downstairs and I'm cutting just cans or really just whatever is at hand. This is my swatch book from Pattern Trace, which I'm working on filling out, but it's a slow process. So yeah, I'm working through adding my fabric stash to it, but like I said, it's not the quickest job ever, but it's just a nice little book. I think it's quite sweet. I don't know if you might have been to my Instagram account, but I am actually doing a giveaway, so you could win these, be in with a chance of winning these 3 magazines, because I have duplicates, and I thought it'd just be nice to do a little giveaway for people who want them or who are going to get use out of them, instead of them just being here doing nothing and taking up room. And I also keep my cutting mat here. This is where I use a rotary cutter and pattern weights, and I do tend to do my cutting on the floor, but I store my mat up here, and it's also good for things like cutting out little bits of interfacing. If I just need to cut out one pattern piece, I'll just do it on the table, but I like to use the floor just because it's a bit more room and I can spread out my stuff a bit more. This I got from the works. It's what I use to keep my buttons. I think it's like 25 drawers, and I think it was an advent calendar, like a DIY advent calendar thing, but I find it amazing just for like storing my buttons. So yeah, it's just really handy to keep them all organised, so you're not, you know, like, because they used to just all be kind of in a box together, mashed together, and I'd be searching for matching buttons for ages. But like this, it's great. And what I do is I just take them off the pattern card, stick them straight in there, and then when I need to find buttons for a project, I'll just have a quick look, and yeah, it just makes the whole process a lot easier, a lot quicker. Up here I have my pegboard, and this is where I store all my threads, all my cutting tools, like, and my labels are stored here too, so I keep them all on there. Some bias binding. Those are shoulder pads. The new Just Patterns have released a new top that I want to get started on. I've got a couple projects to do before then, but that's I ordered them to get started on them as soon as I can, because I thought it's like a shoulder pad top and it looks really, really cool. This is where just like a little display where I keep all my postcards from shops. I think it's really sweet. It just adds a bit of colour to my room, personalises it a bit. And yeah, and I think it's just a really nice way to reuse those postcards instead of chucking them away, because that's so wasteful. And you know, the people at the shops print these, they put a lot of effort into these. I think it just adds a little bit of personality to my room. I've also got my cork board here, and I don't really use it a massive amount, there's just a couple odd bits on here. But when I'm working on a pattern, if I know it's going to take a while, what I'll do is I'll iron out all my pattern pieces, hang them up there, so I've just got them to hand. Say I've forgotten a notch, or I need to check a pattern piece, I can just take it off there and it's all ready to go. I'm not having to search for it. I say that in theory, I don't always do that, but I like the idea of doing that, and I do sometimes do it when I remember. And I've just got my printer down there for all my PDF and other things printing, but that's not very exciting, so we'll move on. Onto the fabric. And yes, I know my fabric stash is a bit out of hand. Anybody who's been on maternity leave or had a lot of free time knows, well, I say free time, maternity leave is not free time, but you know, who knows what it's like to have loads of time to buy fabric but not the time to sew it. This is like years build up and 2 maternity leave, so. But I am working through it, I'm slowly getting there. And I made these little printables for my fabric. So it has a fabric type, where I bought it from, how much yardage or meterage is there, and my plans for it, and then if I pre-washed it. And I stick this on all my fabric. Basically it just helps give me an idea. So if I'm stuck for inspiration, I can just have a look, pull out some fabric, see what's written on there. And then, you know, I know what I want to sew. It just helps, like I said, it helps give me inspiration, so I'm not just stuck twiddling my thumbs. And if I don't have plans, so like this one, there's quite a lot here, so I didn't really bother writing anything on there because I can make a few things with this. But say, you know, I've got some fabric, haven't got a plan for it. If I look at it and then inspiration hits and I know, I'll quickly write it down so I don't forget. And then, like I said, when I come to doing it, then I know what I had plans. And these plans do change. They don't always stay the same, but it's nice to just have a basic idea. And there's some order to my fabric. So down the bottom there, that's more like coating weight fabric. That's jerseys, like slightly heavyweight ponte type style. Mixed weight wovens. At the top is kind of just miscellaneous. Down the bottom is where I have like more my novelty coating fabric, so faux fur and Sherpa boucle, that kind of thing. That's like mixture of coating and just woven viscose style. That in the middle is where I keep my denims. On the either side, that's just mixture wovens. And at the top is where I keep my jersey. And then that's just overflow. So, moving on. And the bottom shelf is where I keep all my books. I've got some magazines down there. I think this is just like a sketchbook type thing. I've got some sewing journals down there too. But all my reference books, so if I need to know a technique, I'll just have a look down here, pull out a book, have a sift through, and yeah, so I just know that everything I need to know is all down there. This is one of my favourite things. This is my quick win bin, and I recommend that everybody get one. It's great. So basically, the quick win bin is exactly as it sounds. If I've been working on a project that has frazzled my brain, I've not enjoyed, or has completely put me off sewing, like this is where I keep all my jersey scraps that I've used, so I don't really want to fold back and put with my stash because it's just odd shapes. But there's enough here for like usually a t-shirt or an item of children's clothing, or just a really easy project that I can literally just come here, like say if I can get a t-shirt pattern I've used before, it's already cut out. It'll take 5 minutes to cut the fabric out and sew up a t-shirt, and it will just kind of be that palette cleanser that I need, or just kind of get my sojo back. And like I said, so yeah, like I've got my other scraps like there and there, but this is literally just for jersey scraps, like I said, that are big enough to get a t-shirt out of, or like even just a quick easy bra. Like I said, just something that really is a quick win that I don't have to search my stash for, and I can use up. So yeah, like I said, I love my quick win bin, and I would recommend everybody have one because they are great. This is just a mixture of, sorry, the camera's just not wanting to focus today. A mixture of ready to wear and sewn. It's kind of overflow. We don't have a lot of clothes storage space in the bedroom, so this is just really overflow from that, but it's more like jackets and coats and heavier stuff. So nothing very exciting there. I would like at some point for that just to be for my me maids, but like I said, at the moment storage space is at a premium, so it just does for now. And I've got my sewing weekender tote bag there. I don't think it's got anything in it at the moment, but it's handy for storage when I need it. This is my pin board, little pin board that I made for all my like enamel pins and things from my, like that I tend to wear on denim jackets. I don't really wear them that often, but I thought it's a nice place to just have them all together so I don't lose them. This is, I believe this is a bathroom organiser. It's where I used to actually keep my labels before I put them on my pegboard, but now it's just got some thread snips. I think these are like, I don't know, like patches, like embroidery patches type thing, and just couple odds and ends. This, actually, Liam made me this, sorry. I believe it's like he found a bit of driftwood and he decided to turn it into a key holder. But we just don't have that many keys, so I snagged it up and claimed it for myself. And it's just where I keep all my rulers, so my pattern drafting rulers, my French curves, that kind of thing. And yeah, like I said, I just keep them on there so that I can just grab them when I need, and it's just a nice handy place. And that is, I don't know why, but I decided it's a closet core proof that for some reason I just traced onto card. And yeah, I'm not sure why I did it, because I've got to. I don't know how many more I'll be making, but yeah, that's what that is. Nothing exciting. So down the bottom, that is all my hand embroidery stuff. And I do really want to get a bit more into hand embroidery, like mending, sashiko, that kind of thing. But for now, it's just kind of down there till I actually get around to doing that. I also want to get a bit more into vlogging, but I barely have time to sew at the minute. So it's one of those things that when I get more time, yeah, I'd love to try it, but now is just not the time. But that is just like a tripod, that's camera lighting, because I don't get too much light in here usually when I have the time to sew, especially this time of year. That's just I'm not really sure, just a mess of stuff, and one of Freya's toys for some reason. This is actually really special. I'm not sure if it was my granddad. I think it was my great-granddad made this from scratch for my nan. And it's a little sewing box, so it's got all the scissor compartments. There's another compartment under there. I won't open that up because there's stuff on top of it, but it goes quite deep. It's a really nice little place to store a lot of my notions, especially my bigger ones. And then on top I've got this little sewing box that Liam bought me, so it just pulls out. You've got the compartments there, and that's a nice little space for a lot like smaller trinket notion type things. In the corner here, so that's all my pattern drafting stuff. I've got my tracing paper, pattern paper, and some like pattern card for if I want to trace a TNT pattern and just keep it a bit more robust so it's not just flimsy paper. I've got some wadding down there because I just didn't have a better place to store it. And yeah, just a couple odd bits and bobs down there. Okay, moving on to my sewing space, my actual, where the magic happens. So this desk, I think I just thrifted it from a Salvation Army, and it's not the sturdiest. It's a bit wobbly, but it does for what I need it for. It's quite a nice, comfortable space, and I've got a few drawers there just as like crap drawers. basically that is what they are. So I keep all my like pinning tools here. So I've got my pins, my my wonder clips there. This was a little trinket thing that I turned into a pin cushion, but I don't really use it for a pin cushion. Now I've got my magnetic one. I just kind of use it to store a few things. So I've got some presser feet, a couple bobbins, some labels, and just like a little space for some of the smaller things that I use regularly. This my friend brought me back from India. Oh, Thailand, I can't, either India or Thailand, I can't remember. But I stuck some magnets on the back and I turned it into a really cute little magnet holder. The magnets aren't massively strong, so I'm thinking I'll probably get some stronger ones for it, but I think it's the cutest little pin dish. Yeah, and I love it. And then in here, like this little desk organiser, is where I keep all my marking tools, my seam gauges. I've got my little measure, self measurer there, and yeah, and my pattern notcher. So this I find great because I know a lot of pattern notches you're like told I'll do the triangle, but I tend to always use a rotary cutter, and I don't know if anyone's tried it with a rotary cutter, but it's a nightmare. So what I do with that is I'll notch onto the paper, onto the actual paper pattern, and then I'll just use like a chalk marker or like a water soluble marker style just to mark on the paper, and I find it gives it really accurate because I don't have to move my pattern piece to mark the notch on. I can keep it as is as I'm cutting out. So yeah, I've got my sewing machine here, my overlocker, and then these are the drawers where I just keep things that I go to regularly. So I haven't got around to, I've only just bought that, so I haven't actually got around to opening that yet. But I've got some spare bobbins in here, my button gauge, these are all my machine needles, yeah, my field bobbins, I think there are some swatch books in there and just kind of the things that I use regularly, but yeah, I just keep them in there. This is a mess. I've just got, like, I think this is where I've got loads of zips in here, and I am looking for a better zip storage solution, but for now I just kind of get thrown into this drawer. I've got some pinking shears in there. This bottom drawer, amongst other things, is where I keep my overlocker thread. Yeah, and a few other odds and ends, but yeah, I tend to keep them in the bottom. And just underneath, so that's all my printer paper. I've got another sewing box there, and just a couple more like stationery type things, like a hole punch, a stapler. So nothing massively exciting in there. Yeah, I think that's everything on a tour of my sewing room. Like I said, I don't want to shame anyone's sewing space. Mine is, honestly, it will not stay this tidy for long or organised. This is really just the tiny glimpse into how it is. I'm not sure I was going with that, but basically, yeah, my room is usually a mess. And I know I'm really lucky to have an entire room for sewing. I'm not sure how long it will last, because obviously, you know, Freya's going to need her own space soon, so I'm just going to enjoy it while I can. But if you've got any questions about how I organise things, I do want to do like a more in-depth video on like my fabric storage and my pattern storage, like my PDF pattern storage. And like I do also store my patterns online using Trello. So, you know, I want to do kind of like how I organise that, but that's for a different time, not for now. But yeah, if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'd love to hear your storage solutions, because I always find it really interesting. I love to see how people organise their sewing space or craft space, and I'm always looking for new ways to do it better. Like especially zips, you know, please let me know how to organise my zips, because that drawer is not great. But yeah, that's rambling on now. And that is it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you managed to get some sewing done, and yeah, and I'm rambling again. So, bye!